So if I haven't really said it, welcome to second semester, or English 1900, as I like to think of the course. And one of the topics that we're really going to take on in this course is social justice. And we have to start by thinking about like what social justice is. And how does it apply to the world, right? These are the things that I'm going to have to do. And I know the liner says I'm sick, so we have to do it this way, but I think this year it's online, so we have to do it this way. So here we go. What is social justice? I want you to think first about if an organization seeks to promote a social justice goal, and they were to promote aid in at least one category, what category do you think is the most important? Or maybe rank these categories. I'll give you a chance here to pause the video and look at these and rank them. All right. So next I want you to write your own definition of social justice. And I'm serious about this. I don't want you to Google it. I don't want you to Siri it. I don't want you to investigate it in any kind of way. I want you to tell me what you think social justice is. And just because I want you to really engage with it, I want you to know I'm going to give you some definitions. Some really smart people have given some definitions about social justice is, but your initial impression about what this is matters too, especially because there are people like myself that believe that social justice runs across politics, and you can be somebody who believes in social justice even if you're more conservative, despite the fact that social justice is typically seen as a liberal avenue of thought. Again, I'll shut up for a minute and you guys can write. All right, so here we go. Here's the big one. I'm going to read it for us. John Rawls writes that the primary social goods to give them in broad categories are rights, liberties, and opportunities, and income and wealth. He immediately adds, a very important primary good is a sense of one's own worth. But for simplicity, I leave this aside much later until section 78 in his huge book. In section 67, Rawls states that self-respect is perhaps the most important primary good, and it has two aspects. It includes a person's sense of his own value, his secure conviction with his plan of life, his conception of his good is worth carrying out. And second, self-respect implies a confidence in one's own ability so far as it lies within one's power to fulfill one's intentions. And just so I can be kind of rooting for Rawls, but at the same time modernizing him a little bit, I think he would use they, them in this context now, whereas the grammar of his time says we have to use he. So elsewhere in Rawls' writing, he provides the specification of primary social goods. The list includes basic liberties, rights, also given by a list of freedom of movement, freedom of choice of occupation against a background of diverse opportunities, powers and precognitives of office and positions of responsibility in political and economic institutions of the basic structure, economic and wealth, and finally the social basis of self-respect. So we can get into like all of these things. What does all of this mean? Well, we've heard numerous times about the concept of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? We have the concept of rights outlined for us in our Constitution. And that's also kind of an interesting thing. I think a lot of social justice people will tell you that the Constitution lists the rights that we do have as opposed to listing the things that we don't have. And we actually have much more than the Constitution suggests. So you can kind of look at it from those areas, right? And then what do liberties mean, right? Well, does it mean that you have the freedom to move when you want to move, the freedom to go into an occupation that you want, the freedom to be a part of a diverse opportunity, or do you not have those freedoms, right? And so that's where we're going to say a lot of people but maybe on paper they have the same opportunities and freedoms that the majority have, but in reality they aren't getting those same opportunities. So next, I want you to think of organizations and groups that make these things a priority. And if you want to go back to that list right here, thinking about what organizations really seek to give out basic rights, what organizations seem to give out the freedom of movement, what organizations tend to give out income and wealth, social basis for self-respect, etc. So go ahead and make a list. I'll, again, pause it for you. So in this class, when we think about this, we want to establish groups to discuss these idiosyncrasies, these small details about social justice. And we want to begin to talk about the impact that you want to make inside of the arena of social justice. What change do you want to see in the world? What injustice do you have in common with some other people that you really want to address? And in that way, we can kind of make groups of interest, right? And not that we have to work with these people all the time, but a group of interest means that you might get to talk to somebody about sharing resources, or you might get to plan out your paper with somebody, or you might get a peer editing partner that has some inside knowledge that can help you, in ways that somebody who's just peer editing your paper for structure and style and everything else can't. And so that becomes an important part. A secondary group in this class is who are the people that have these things in common with you. And I will do my best to kind of tether people together by saying this is a common interest area.